pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
Here.
Dr. Fike?
Here.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Here.
Mr. Polakowski?
Here.
Mrs. Raymond?
Here.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Here.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here. Wanted to announce that we were in executive session for personnel matters and legal matters. We do have two public comments this evening, both of which are not items that we're discussing on the agenda, so you'll be free to speak after the meeting in the public comment section, which we actually have a couple of those tonight, being that we have a voting meeting first. We do have two items that are going to be walked on to the voting portion of the meeting. One is a learning support position, and the other is a phys ed long-term sub position. I need a motion to walk those on.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public will be given time to comment on those prior to us voting. New hires.
The board is asked to approve the hiring of the following teachers. Claudia Clemens, first grade, step B1, a salary of $43,861. Zachary Sheridan, third grade, step B1, salary of $43,861. Ivy Martin, kindergarten, step B1, salary of $43,861. Kylie Safranco, first grade, step B1, salary of $43,861. Gary Gray, middle school computer, step B1, salary of $43,861.
I need a motion.
Make the motion.
I second it.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
No.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 no.
Rescinding of teaching offer.
The board is asked to rescind the July 8, 2021 hiring of Diane Banco as the K-1 autistic support teacher.
Need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I will
Second.
second.
Discussion.
Are we able to explain why that has to happen to the public?
No, that's a matter for executive session.
I didn't hear you.
That's a matter that it's
Okay.
a personnel matter discussed in executive session.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson? Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-all.
Post and subsequently advertise for middle school library media specialist, library science EK through 12 certification.
The board is asked to approve the posting and subsequent advertising for the position of middle school library media specialist.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
This person be, well, no, I guess we're not hiring a person right now. We're just advertising it. Will this be something that we will, I didn't read all of it, be putting in or implementing for, also for our media for on
No.
board meeting nights?
No.
This is strictly for,
This is a
Teaching
teaching
position.
position.
Any other discussion?
like the public to know that this will be a very positive enhancement for our gifted program, in addition to using it for library media. So the gifted program will directly benefit from this.
I think all children in the district are going to directly benefit from this position tremendously to bring the library back to middle school.
Right.
Is there any other discussion?
Is there a way to turn up the other side? I cannot hear what they're saying. That side. That.
It's on.
It's on.
It's pretty loud.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. O'Rear,
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond,
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Carson,
Yes.
Dr. Fike,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Relocation of business office to the high school.
The board is asked to approve the moving of the business office to the high school to allow for the business office to be in close proximity to the transportation office.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second. Discussion.
We'll all be moving of the business office. So,
Myself, Joanne Lane, and Becky Rodriguez.
okay. Thank you.
Is this something that the custodians can pull off before school starts?
They're going to work real hard at it.
They're going to, yes, we're going to work real hard to try.
Any other discussion?
Sorry, why would the custodians have to do this?
Who will do it?
Like they have
I
to
was told that
put together a-
they move and that they've prepared this area already.
Oh, okay.
But that's what I was told.
And they'll assist in the moving of all the files, cabinets, boxes, everything.
The filing cabinets, the desks, those types of things.
Probably maintenance and technology also will
Yes.
help.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Maintenance
Paul.
and technology department.
Oh, okay. That was my next question, like, well, don't we have to set up computers?
Any other discussion?
The relocation. You can do a voice vote on this one.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? PSBA Policy Maintenance Program Agreement.
The board is asked to approve the PSBA Policy Maintenance Program Participation Agreement, which is included with our membership.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr.
Joe,
Matthew,
is
you
there a
said that's
separate
included?
charge for this?
If the email that I got from Mrs. Monday is included as part of our membership renewal fee per person at PSBA.
Oh, good, okay.
So that was already included in our renewal
There's
fee?
no extra charge.
No extra charge. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski,
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond,
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Carson,
Yes.
Dr. Fike,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Highlands Hospital Student Agreement 2122-01.
Board is asked to approve the student agreement between Highlands Hospital Regional Center for Autism and the Southmoreland School District.
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
Was there any discussion? I'm sorry. I needed clarification.
Was the amount that is due here, was that already added into like our ESSERs? Was that already added into the budget anyways?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear? Mr.
Yes.
Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Abstain.
8 yes, 1 abstain.
Educational service agreement with IU number 12122-01.
Board is asked to approve an educational service agreement between the Intermediate Unit 1 and the Southmoreland School District for vision and hearing services.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
This took me by surprise that it's IU1. Does this mean that the IU we're in does not offer these services?
IU is 1.
IU1, I believe, is Cole Center.
Dr. Fike, no. IU7 does offer those services. This is in relation to a facility that's in closer proximity to the location where the student receives those services, and that particular facility, Highlands Hospital, has a contract with that IU to provide services for a number of their student population.
That makes sense to me, but if we need vision and hearing service for other kids that are, at the other end of the county,
We can get those through Westmoreland Intermediate Unit IU7.
thank you. That I understand.
You're welcome.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith? Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Abstain.
8 yes, 1 abstain.
Highlands Hospital Student Agreement 2122-02.
The board is asked to approve the student agreement between Highlands Hospital Regional Center for Autism and the Southmoreland School District.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm assuming obviously this is for a separate student from the one we did previously. Just wanted to clarify.
Roll call?
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Abstain.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 abstain.
Permission for Mount Pleasant student to participate with Southmoreland School District cross-country team.
The board is asked to approve the request of a Mount Pleasant student to be able to run with the Southmoreland School District cross-country team during meets and practices for the 2021-2022 school year.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Just to clarify, this student would be responsible for their own transportation to Southmoreland, and then they would go with our transportation to wherever else.
Yes.
How did this come to be? I've never seen anything like this before.
We have a student right now who is swimming with Mount Pleasant, I believe, right? 5 students.
Okay, that's like the
Don't we
football
have some
players.
Bible
Yeah, kind of like, I guess this would be considered a co-op of sorts.
Bible soccer.
We don't offer it.
Okay.
Didn't we had a student several years
It's
back.
kind of odd,
in
like, if she
Connellsville
wins like a
before.
state or something, she's
Was
not a
it-
Southmoreland runner,
No.
she's not a Pleasant runner.
Yes.
Any liability, Michelle,
Believe.
if she's hurting or something like that?
You should check with your student accident, if you have some kind of student accident component to your general liability policy. Sometimes they sell it as a separate policy, sometimes it's underneath the general
Comes
coverage.
under that.
But I would recommend checking with them to make sure that that student's covered.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9 yes.
Approval for outside psychological services.
The board is asked to approve the agreement between Southmoreland School District and Key Solution Staff LLC for educational school psychological services. Mr. Hatcher, I do believe that is at a savings to the district.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Need a second?
I will second.
Discussion?
A savings compared to what?
I'm
It's the
sorry.
A
second time.
savings compared to
A previous contract.
last year's contract.
Yes.
So I know that we had at one point had some done in-house, and then we subcontracted some. Are we now saying we're contracting them all?
Yeah, Mr. Hatcher.
Oh, I didn't even see them there.
So the contracts that were negotiated last school year were with 2 outside providers. In this particular instance, in both of those instances, all of those costs were for one cost, for a $600 per evaluation cost. There are school psychological services that we require that I was able to renegotiate reduced costs for some of those services, so we're not paying $600 per each of those student evaluations. So the breakdown is on the list there in terms of the different services that the school psychologist agency is able to offer us, so that we're not paying $600 for every time that we need that particular service.
So we are outsourcing all of them now.
We are, yes.
Okay, so is that a different decision? Do we have to make a, because the last time we voted, it was just for some.
No, it was for all last time.
No, I don't think it was. Unless I horribly misunderstood something. Because we even said, like, is there a certain amount that we're going to say we'll outsource per year?
Have someone who came in?
Well, Mr. Heitschuh did it last year.
Remember?
That's what we were told. No, I remember hiring Milky and another one, but we were told that they would also do some in-house. Am I wrong?
Oh, you're not wrong.
Okay. So we're changing
I don't know
to
what she
everything's
said.
going to be.
With Mr. Hatcher's new responsibilities, he's principal at the Premier Center and Director of Special Education. I don't know what time he would have available to do that when he still function.
So again, we discussed this. It was presented a certain way, and now it's different. Just saying.
The last time we did this, Michelle, there was a number attached.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
right.
And I don't have a number here.
Because they're saying now they're going to do all of them outsourced.
So is it a blank check? Is it an open door?
And is this the only place we're using now? It will just be Key Solution, and that's all?
No, both of the contracts that you approved at the last voting session were open-ended.
Okay.
They did not have, actually Milky's I think is set to expire in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. But in terms of the resources available for that in-house, more consultative services, the Key Solution provided us the better options.
On their contract?
Yes.
Okay. But Dr. Milky will still be available to the district as well?
Right.
Is there any other discussion?
So there is no cost. We're voting on something that has no cost attached to it.
The costs are delineated in that.
On
Yeah, I don't have them.
page 3, number 4, Dr. Fike.
What?
Page 3, number 4.
I think she means we don't know the total cost, because we would never know how many students would need these services throughout the school year.
Although this contract also doesn't, if for some reason Mr. Haichu was available to provide this service. This contract doesn't prevent us from doing that if that was available.
No, it does not. It does not hinder us from that.
But you're saying he's not going to?
Well, I'd like for him to devote his time to the building level principal and director of special ed.
Okay, I'm just making sure we're all on the same page here. So he's no longer a school psychologist in any way for our school?
No, that was agreed upon. That was voted upon by the...
It was most certainly not voted upon. So if we want to remove him from being school psychologist, we will need to vote on that.
The board is asked to approve granting the administration the ability to contract for student psychological services with Key Solutions and Ray Ymca. That was on April 15th.
Yes, we definitely did that.
Yes.
But in that discussion, we were told they wouldn't all be done by him, that Mr. Heiche would be doing some.
We table this and I'll work with Mr. Heiche.
I don't necessarily think we need to table a better agreement.
No,
I just want to make sure we're all on the same
is
page.
have understanding and votes on what people are doing. Because we were clearly told that he would still serve, and I know that he doesn't want to. I know that you have your plate full. However, this board voted to outsource some of these. We were given a number, and he was to remain school psychologist. So if he is not doing that, we need to vote that he's not doing that.
Correct.
Just making a contract with somebody to do something doesn't mean we no longer have that person.
That's all
So
I'm saying.
I'm not saying we need to table a better agreement with Key Solution. That's not it at all. It's just everybody needs to know the things that we have voted on need to be the way that they are.
Decides what student goes to these services?
That would be Special Education Director,
Okay.
which would be Mr. Heiche.
Now, for long-term services, commonly kids are referred to mental health centers or places like that. Is that what this is going to be, long-term services?
No.
These services are for multidisciplinary evaluation, special education, eligibility determinations.
Mr. Heiche, is your microphone on?
No.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, right.
There, I heard something.
The services are for special education eligibility determinations.
Okay, that's basic.
Okay?
That's basic. I mean, it's mostly educational with vision, hearing, whatever else is all that is necessary, PTOT, whatever it takes. I don't understand how this would be implemented.
When we have referrals for students for special education services, they have to be evaluated by a school psychologist
Correct.
to determine their eligibility for those services.
Correct.
In addition to those eligibility determinations, there are other roles that the school psychologist serves, such as reevaluation reviews of reports, such as gifted multidisciplinary evaluations. I did not feel as though the school district should be paying the $600 rate for a gifted multidisciplinary evaluation in comparison to a regular full special education evaluation eligibility determination.
What rate would we pay?
It's in
$525.
it's in the report.
So you're paying $525 per gifted evaluation and $600 per initial evaluation.
Right.
So we have completely separated gifted students versus non-gifted students.
Well, for reevals, if you look at reevals, they're educational reevals.
They're not revals though.
That's for the initial evaluation. The reevaluation review cost is $25 per report, and then there's a $65 for consultation. There might be a time when a building principal needs a school psychologist to come into their building to meet with a team for something like a behavior manifestation determination, for example. That's a process that you would want to have a school psychologist involved in at your building level, being supported of your building level principal and their staff in those determination processes.
So consultation services are at extra cost.
That's $65 an hour.
I'll be honest with you, Ron, I just don't understand it, but that's okay. I won't ask any more questions.
I'll be happy to
I'm fine.
provide further explanation at any
It's an
point.
open-ended blank check kind of thing, and I'm concerned about that.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
I respectfully pass.
Mrs. O'Rear?
I respectfully pass too.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
No.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
6 yes, 1 no, 2 abstain. Pass.
Plexiglass away from Dr. Fike. I think it kind of segregates her off from the rest of us.
What's he?
Asking for the plexiglass to be removed.
At least the front. Like,
Can we make sure this speaker's
I
on too?
sent a message, so.
I really can't hear what they're saying over there.
Dr. Clara, we're having a real hard time hearing down here. Okay.
I don't think these speakers here are on. These ones in the middle of the floor. I don't think these are on.
They're on.
I think the microphones are on. I don't think these speakers are on.
Oh. We can hear you
They're
guys.
yelling, don't touch that.
There's nothing coming out of it.
Can you guys hear us over here?
Yeah, because we cannot hear one thing you're saying.
Face again.
I couldn't hear what you said, Jim,
Yeah,
so.
Take off her face mask.
Oh. Well, I don't want to sneeze all over people. So.
Hello?
Can you say
Can you hear me?
something?
Hello?
No, better. I can't hear.
I mean, I can definitely hear Heather.
Dr. Fike,
But I
can you
can
say
hear you
something?
here, not there.
Did you say Christy?
Yeah, no, I can't hear her. at all.
What? Well, I mean, can you say something so that we can hear?
I am under the impression this microphone is on.
It is.
Yeah,
It's just muffled.
it's on.
Yeah, I just can't hear her. It's okay.
Okay, high school learning, long-term substitute teacher.
Board is asked to approve the hiring of a long-term substitute science teacher at the high school.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second. Discussion?
Do we already have someone, like a particular person that we're hiring for this, or we're looking for someone? Okay.
So should this be that we need to advertise for this? As well as, I mean, we're not really approving the hiring. We need to advertise for a long-term substitute. Correct?
Yes. Unless there's been somebody there's no name identified here, so you authorize a posting.
And a subsequent advertising.
Right, so you want to, is this, my first question would be, is this time sensitive, Mr. Masha, in that, I'm assuming it is?
Mr. Krofchuk, do you have anyone in mind for that position? I'm sorry.
He's working with Jeff White.
He's working with.
Well, wouldn't we have to advertise it, though? We still have to be advertised, right? Can't be an inside job.
Does that need to be?
I mean, if you have somebody identified, you don't necessarily, it's not by school code that you have to advertise for a long-term sub.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not aware of any collective bargaining provision that would require that.
Through ESS? Yeah, it's through ESS.
Okay, so we would just be, we wouldn't necessarily be, we're not hiring this person, we're just using them through ESS then, correct?
Yeah, because of the length of time that does indicate.
So we do need to.
We're basically
approve them,
approving
bring somebody.
ESS sending us a
There's a
long-term
length of
substitute.
time involved,
I'm
too.
sorry. Okay, so this will be as it is written. that we're asked to approve the hiring of a long-term substitute, which would be through ESS. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9 yes.
Quest driver list.
Board is asked to approve the attached list of Quest drivers for the 2021-2022 school year.
I need a motion.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, just real quick, I'm just curious. Do we vet these people at all? We just take it for what it's worth and go with it? Take West's word that these people are all cleared? That's normal process? Just curious.
A contractor with the school district must have all clearances. So typically it's in the contract between Quest and the school district that they will have them. Mr. Mash, I don't know if you're aware of whether that provision is in your contract.
That is.
Typically it is. So yes.
Now, do we set our own parameters as to what we allow and don't allow? What do we allow them to hire?
The parameters are set by the school code
Okay.
as to what offenses are disqualifying, what offenses are disqualifying for a period of 3 years, 5 years.
Okay.
It's all
Thank
set
you.
by code.
Any other discussion?
Michelle, is this list adequate to cover the needs of our buses? Is it enough people?
Is there enough drivers to cover our bus routes?
To my knowledge, from what I've been told, yes, there is.
Pittsburgh needs 426.
I heard that, yes. I'm actually going to be meeting with them next week. I had tried to call and meet with them this week, but they're all on vacation.
I hope it's adequate.
But to my knowledge, from what they're telling me right now, it is.
Perfect.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Fall sports coaches list.
Board is asked to approve the attached list of fall sports coach supplemental contracts for the 2021-2022 school year.
Need a motion?
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Sorry, I did. So is this this isn't a contract though, right?
It's the list of,
It's just a list. I thought I heard you say contract.
They're covered under the
They're-
SCA contract.
They're supplemental.
they're under the CBA. They're under the
Under the
ESA
teacher's
CBA.
contract.
Oh, okay. Well, do they have a contract as far as like the term or how long that they are a coach? Like it doesn't have any kind of renewal to it, or
We have made a practice of renewing them yearly.
Year to year.
that get voted on?
Pardon?
Does that get voted on
That's
yearly?
That's what we're doing now.
Oh, okay. I only just came in a few months back, so.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Polakowski?
Abstain.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 8 yes, 1 pass.
2021-2022 extracurricular supplemental contracts.
Board is asked to approve the attached list of extracurricular supplemental contracts for the 2021-2022 school year.
I need a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
We have a question mark beside middle school band, but shouldn't that be Mr. Hennigan?
It should be.
So can we add that to what we vote upon? Make sure he's getting both of those?
Yeah, we would need to do that.
Jim Hennigan.
On the list,
Yes.
if that is what's being recommended, you're going to need to do a motion to have him added to the list and specify where. Vote on that, and then vote on the amended list.
So can I make a motion to add that to the list?
I'll
second that motion.
Needs to be a second.
Is there any discussion on that? Okay, so we would be adding Jim Hennigan to middle school band. Is there any other discussion?
So you have somebody for middle school band.
It would be Jim Hennigan. He should have been on there as well as elementary band.
So for these other ones that are empty, do we have to re-advertise, or do we just wait for somebody to show up and say they'll do it?
It would have to be posted.
They would be posted again.
Okay, so they have to be posted.
Yes.
So is part of the motion to post those vacancies or not?
The NJHS sponsored that as one.
Yeah,
Going to be regular.
the National Honor Society one is being reposted.
You know, I'm not certain if some of these are going to be filled. I would have to ask.
So stage directors listed twice, the same salary. Is that a mistake, or is there two different stages?
Stage director is listed twice
There
Yeah,
were
with
two
the same
supplementals.
person.
That is,
for here and the middle school.
there were the two supplementals.
Well, there are two supplementals for that
We would like
position.
to change that too.
There may be
It's the
some
same
other
position.
changes to this list coming. This is just what it is right now, Dr. Fike.
If it's the same position, why would there be two supplementals?
I was actually looking in the attached list from the contract, the Appendix C, and it does list two supplementals. I don't know why.
And we want to
To
make
be
sure we
honest with
list
you.
everything that's in the teacher's contract so that it's not missed and accidentally taken out. So that if they, like some of these things maybe they won't do, but we want to be able to give them the opportunity, since it is listed in their contract, to have those
3 months a year, right?
positions if possible, is my understanding.
Right, and I do understand that, but I mean, where, like, stage director where and stage director where? Here? This is the only stage, and then there's a middle school stage. So should we put stage director high school, stage director middle school?
We can't change that. This is how it is in the
CBA.
the contract with the teachers union. These are from their contract. So this is how it's listed in their contract. So if we wanted to change wording, we would need to do that through an MOU with the union.
The band.
Okay, so we are voting on this list after we have added Mr. Hennigan to middle school band.
Did we vote that?
Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Right now, this is to add Mr. Hennigan to middle
Middle
school band.
Can we do a voice vote for that? Adding him.
This is money, correct? So it would need to be roll call vote.
Yes, you want to do a roll call on this
I
one?
thought we were, right at the moment, we were adding Jim Hennigan to middle school band. We made a motion and we second, but we never actually voted on.
You need to vote
Correct.
on.
We need to do a roll
Right.
call vote to add Mr. Hennigan to this list, and it needs to be roll call because we're adding his name with a salary.
Okay.
Raymond.
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes.
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Dr. Fike.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear.
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Now we need a motion to approve the attached list.
We actually already had a motion and a second. Can we still keep with that?
You need a new motion
Okay.
and a second.
Motion
I need a second.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
So we now had 2 walk-on items, one to post and subsequently advertise for a learning support position, K1. And we also had an agenda item walked on for a long-term sub for phys ed that's being walked on. Is there any public comment on either item? I need a motion to post and subsequently advertise or simultaneously advertise for a learning support teacher, K1.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Now I need a motion to, this need to be posted, well, I need a motion to advertise for a, or this would be through ESS as well, right, Mr.? Well, this would be middle school, right? Or elementary, so yes. So we need a motion to hire a long-term substitute for phys ed.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Carson?
Yes.
Dr. Fike?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Yes.
Mr. Polakowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Raymond?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0.
Citizens' comments.
I second. This, yeah, never mind.
Is the microphone on?
I'm not sure. I would say no.
I think it's on. I think you just have to be really close to it.
It's just really not.
What? I just want to know if the switch is turned on. It doesn't matter at this point. You can hear me. We're here and now. So with the plastic cage in front of Dr. Fike, if you look to your left, Madam President, you would see a person without a mask. And if you look at me, you'll see a person without a mask. When you come in a room like this and you have the virus or someone has the virus and you're in this room for 15 minutes, that mask didn't matter, my mask didn't matter. But the fact that that plastic up there shows a deep motivation that's not friendly here. And it's not just you, Madam President, it's everyone that's sitting around here and watching it happen. And it's been called to your attention. It's been called to everyone's attention. So this was a good test. On the COVID variant that's targeting children, I think the conversation should be we're going to shut the schools down before they open. It's not it's much worse in the children population than the other virus, and you shut down for that. So why, I'm just not sure how the narrative here is because I'm not watching your TV. But if we shut down, which is, you have to have that contingency. So I want to know what we're going to do about the socialization of the children. Assuming they can be outside where social distancing laws are a little bit different, or rules or signs is a little bit different than indoors. Are we going to take advantage of that? And what is that plan? I need to know that plan now before school starts, because we're going to be right there again for the third time. This is the third time I've had this conversation. And if we do shut down, besides that, I have another point. Just let me go to my memory. When you go to take public speaking time away from people, some people need to collect their thoughts and have different styles. You know, I have some characteristics that show that type of personality, and it's almost like a handicap. I'll have to come back to my last subject at the end of the next period. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Yes, it is.
Hello. Thank you very much. I wanted to start with that first comment, and that is to thank you for the choice that each of you's made to be a part of a team that acts as the voice of the Southmoreland School District community. This past year and a half could not have been an easy time to make decisions that affect our community's children. And you are faced yet again with a new school year that comes along with some more tough decisions that you are most likely going to be both scrutinized and applauded for. We all know that when we make decisions for a group, you can't please everybody. However, last school year there was a survey available to parents with children in the district. That was an opportunity to please the majority. And while the data was there to support, I believe, 82 or 86% of the parents who preferred that their children go to school 5 days a week with minimal restrictions, a vote was made that went against the majority. Parents felt unheard and unsupported. I have 2 children who currently attend the district. I once had a 5th grader who each day after school was asked, "How was your day?" And each day I would receive a similar response. "Today was the best," or "I had a great day." I once had a child who loved going to school, and now I have a soon-to-be 7th grader who was stripped of all normalcy. Her first year in middle school, which as I remember for myself, was a very pivotal time in adolescence. And while once August was a time when my soon-to-be 7th grader was beginning to let the excitement of a new school year seep in, with talks of shopping for clothes and classroom necessities somehow making their way into every conversation, the conversation has now shifted to one thing and one thing only. Will we have to wear masks? When will they decide if we have to wear masks? If they say we have to wear masks, please don't make me go. We've not been wearing masks. None of us has. I sat in a small room with 3 other people from the district for a job interview. None of them had masks on. I did not have a mask on. And I was a dedicated substitute teacher for the district for 5 years before the birth of my sons, which I've been blessed to raise at home full-time while their father is in Maryland working Monday through Friday, and watch them become the little men that they are. I have good relationships with many employees here, and none of them want to mask their students. None that I've talked to, I should say. The masks are not healthy, they're not sanitary, they're a distraction. Teachers are constantly having to tell students to wear them properly. I interact with children all of the time through church and through the Scottsdale Soccer Club and through the Equestrian Center located in Mount Pleasant, and the vast majority of parents I speak with do not want to mask their children. If and when the question of how to address masks comes up, please consider making masks an option as opposed to a requirement. Please choose to make a vote that supports the majority. Please have the courage to make a stand that supports the interests of students and their parents. And please Have discussions that address practical ways for children to be healthy and sanitary that do not involve masking themselves. If someone is not comfortable with sending their child to school where the majority of students and parents have already made a stance on the mask subject, give them the option to perform their schooling online. I would gladly sign any waiver necessary saying that I will not hold Southmoreland School District or any related business that supports my children's education, be that food services or bus services, if either of them were to become ill with COVID. Thank you very much.
Is there any other citizen comment?
Michelle, can we remind people to state their names before they speak? Can we remind people to state their names before they speak? 'Cause I didn't. I'm sorry.
Can we remind them to speak, say their names?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name's Julie Cook. I live at 802 Laux Avenue, and I have 2 children in the school district. My reason for speaking today is the masking policy and the need to keep the masking policy optional. Over the past 2 months, I've had many parents and teachers reach out to me on this, and I feel I am their voice. The masking policy weighs heavy on some parents' minds in deciding whether to keep their children in the district. This fact should weigh heavy on your minds also when the decision comes time again. You will find research and articles on both sides of this argument just like any other topic out there. We all have the freedom to choose what we believe we want to believe. My feelings stem from a list of experiences, including the fact that I've spent the first 5 years of my children's lives telling them, do not touch your face and don't touch your mouth. My 2nd grader came home last spring with ink all over her neck. In further investigation, I find she had markered her mask, then went outside for recess, and it bled ink all over her neck from sweat. Not sure that mask really worked, but she was proud of her work of art. My 6th grader developed nosebleeds the last month of school. Never had a nosebleed in his life and was upset and stressed about this. 5 or 6 nosebleeds in a couple of weeks, and he didn't want to go to school because he didn't want his nose to bleed and what other kids would think of him. So I guess his mind really wasn't on school. He sat there all day thinking about nosebleeds. I've heard stories of kids that wore masks for weeks, that they walked in the classroom and they smelled, they were dirty. I can only imagine what students said about these children who had dirty masks all the time. I've heard stories of kids chewing their mask and mask swapping. After sitting in the auditorium tonight, everyone up there with a mask on, I can't understand what you say. I can't hear. I only understand half of your words. I don't know how kids sit in classrooms all day and understand a teacher. I know the subject isn't on the agenda tonight, but in coming months when it comes to light, please remember my stories and leave this right to the choice of the parents. In the end, I hope you're realizing your decisions also equal the financial health of our district. I have high hopes for this school year. I hope everything's back to normal and you'll do what's right for our children. Thank you for your time.
Is there any other public comment? I need a motion to adjourn the voting portion of our meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Need a second? All those in favor? Aye. Roll call.
Mr. Carson?
Here.
Dr. Fike?
Hi, here.
Mrs. O'Rear?
Here.
Mr. Polakowski?
Here.
Mrs. Raymond?
Here.
Mrs. Rhodes?
Here.
Mrs. Heather Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Kristen Smith?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here. Minutes of board meetings, June 10th, 2021.
The board will be asked to consider the approval of the minutes of the June 10th, 2021 board meeting.
Is there any discussion? Minutes of board meeting, June 17th, 2021.
The board will be asked to consider the approval of the minutes of the June 17th, 2021 board meeting.
Discussion? Minutes of board meeting, July 8th, 2021.
The board will be asked to consider the approval of the minutes of the July 8th, 2021 board meeting.
Discussion? Superintendent information.
I have attached a couple documents I received, subsurface exploration reports, so I've attached those there. And I've attached the board report to the board members. And we will do our reporting next week.
District performance data presentation.
I think we're looking for Dr. Flynn. Probably on his way now.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. So I have been asked to put together some information for you regarding our performance over time. I will not have last year's performance data yet because some schools have not even tested yet. They have the option of testing all the way until September 30th. So I don't have this year's data yet for you. When we get it, we will make sure we share it. I promise not to read slides to you, but just quickly, we have a pretty good tradition here of doing well, performing at a high level. The question of what is success is always debated, right? How do you define success? What does that mean? Sometimes it's going to be a score. Sometimes it's going to be a feeling that people have about what you've done well and what you haven't done well. And sometimes you can look at data like workforce data. How many people are employed currently in the workforce? But what we've tried to do here this evening is share with you some data that is nationally normed and state normed so you can see it. And where does the data come from? In 2001, President Bush passed the No Child Left Behind Act, and that was designed to ask schools to show through data their accountability, how they're performing. And then it was updated in 2015 into the Every Student Succeeds Act. And there were some changes from that where some of the other data that would be included would not just be nationally normed or state normed data. There'd also be some other factors that were included in the school scores. And that took place in 15 and was introduced in the 17-18 school year. So the differences are we are required to show our accountability plans that started in 17-18. The goals are that you can pick your goals to try to be more in control of what you're trying to show as your accountability measures. Smaller ones can be at the building level, bigger ones are at the district level. You must show proficiency on tests, English language proficiency, and graduation rates. Those are data points that the state requires that you show. You may have other ones as well. Goals have to have an expectation that all groups are the furthest behind closed gaps in achievement and graduation rates. So we want to make sure that those students who might be struggling are receiving the attention that they need to try to close some of those gaps. And that's true from NCLB through ESEA. That's not new. And again, I'm sorry it's small. I wanted to try to include it for everybody to see. These are some of the things that are accountability measures at the elementary level. 4 indicators: academic proficiency, English language proficiency. Other factors can be broken up by subgroup, which can be shown for growth at the state level. At the high school, they'll be judged on the same set of indicators, except graduation rates will also be part of that equation. This can be in place of a second academic indicator. And then weighing the indicators, the states will be required to decide how much those things weigh. In our system, you'll see that when they do the school performance profiles, which is now something that we see pretty regularly. That's posted in the newspaper and on the website for the PDE. The kinds of testing that you're going to be looking at are PSSA and Keystone testing. Sorry, that mic's too low for me. Too tall, I guess. So we're looking at PSSA and Keystone testing data. Every student in Pennsylvania who's in a public school grades 3 through 8 is assessed in English language arts and math. In 4 and 8, they are assessed in science. At the high school level, they take Keystones in ELA, math, and biology. And that's a little bit about the Keystones. They're end-of-course assessments designed to assess proficiency in the subject areas of Algebra 1, 2, Geometry, Literature, English Comp, Bio, Chemistry, U.S. History, World History, and Civics and Government. The ones we really have to focus on right now are the Math, Literature, and Biology tests. And this information, you'll see at the bottom, I include where I collected that information from so you can see those resources. And I went to the Pittsburgh Business Times to help me to kind of organize some of this data. And what they did this year that was interesting was they took a 10-year look, the last decade of performance, which I think is probably a pretty true assessment. If you're looking at more data points, then your standard of error is going to be significantly lower as opposed to one data point where the standard deviation can be much higher. So this is a 10-year look back at how we performed across some of those things. In 1920, no testing, so we had to do a comparison on performances across the decade, and that was what they indicated in their research as well. So this is not a performance indicative of 1 year's work, but rather look at how the district fared over a much larger sample size. Larger sample size means less standard deviations, meaning more accuracy and hopefully more reflective of our performances overall. And the categories that I'm going to share with you tonight, honor roll, that's the ranking of districts in the southwest region of Pennsylvania only. And then the Commonwealth Honor Roll, that's a ranking of districts in the state of Pennsylvania. Overachiever rank, this ranking considers economically disadvantaged percentages as well as academic performance. They're taken together. And then budget ranking, this reflects highest to lowest budgets in the Commonwealth in the 2020-2021 school year. So in the honor roll, we ranked 26 out of 102 districts in the region. That's top 25 for districts in Allegheny, Westmoreland, Fayette, Beaver, and Washington counties. In Westmoreland County, we were ranked number 5 behind Franklin Regional, Penn Trafford, Norwin, and Greater Latrobe. This is, again, according to Pittsburgh Business Times. Look at all of that data. And here's a little look at how it was ranked by Pittsburgh Business Times. I put it into a spreadsheet, but this is data that they collected over 10 years. So you'll see the rank in 2020, 17 to 19 tests, and then the tests from before that time. Also, the budget is included. You can see the amount of money that each district was receiving for the year in 2020, 2021, and the enrollment size. So we came in 5th in Westmoreland County. Across the Commonwealth, Southmoreland School District is ranked 94th out of 502 districts in the region. It's top 20 in the districts in the Commonwealth. In Westmoreland County, again, we're ranked number 5 behind Franklin Regional, Penn Trafford, Norwin, and Greater Latrobe in terms of performance on those measures. And that's the statewide ranking. Franklin Regional was the highest in Westmoreland County at 32, 41 Penn Trafford, 53 Norwin, 63 Greater Latrobe, then us at 94, Ligonier Valley, and Hempfield, Kiski, Greensburg, Salem, and so on. Overachiever ranking, which is something we've been really kind of proud of over time, means you're kind of punching above your weight. That means that based on your demographics and economic situation, your performance is higher than they might have predicted based on those measures. We are ranked number 2 in the decade across the region, and I'll share with you who else is on that overachiever rank. And if you look at the information there at the top, I'm going to have you look at the category of percent economically disadvantaged in 2021. You can see those percentage numbers of students that would be considered economically disadvantaged by the state. Kiski is behind us, and then Greensburg, Salem, Greater Latrobe. These are close to our region. Again, sorry it's so small. Look much bigger on my screen. Sorry. Yeah. I looked great when I was looking at it, but obviously a little smaller now. I will post this on our website so you can actually look at it more closely. That way you can actually spend time on it. But unfortunately, when I was doing this, like I said, on my monitor, awesome. Here on this screen, kind of small. So overachiever rank across the decade for Fayette County. I just wanted to give that information. Also, we were also first among the schools that are in Fayette County, which we share some of our students with. Uniontown was behind us at 3 and 4, respectively. Some budget data. Southmoreland ranked 68th in the region with a budget of $31.718 million in 2020-21. Among the districts that Southmoreland would have outperformed despite having a lower budget and similarly situated in terms of demographics, geographic location, and population, meaning our size, our location to them, our enrollment, this is how we performed. York was at 65. We were at 68. Derry 49, 36 for Greensburg. There obviously a lot of money there that they got that some of us did not get. We outperformed those who were a little better situated than we were. So what does growth mean? And that's a great question. So growth is analyzing available data from previous years to help the district or schools or teachers evaluate how much groups of students have gained academically. And you have to answer questions like, is the program working for all of our students at all grades and all subjects? Looking at PVOS data, that's value-added or growth reporting, and it's available in the grades and subjects and courses assessed on those tests I mentioned earlier to you, PSSAs and Keystones. This would include reporting for math and ELA in grades 4 through 8, science, which is 4 and 8, and Keystone content areas, Algebra 1, literature, and biology. And here is an area where we really need to make improvements. And I think, Dr. Frank, you've mentioned this more than once, questioning the growth issue. Are we making progress in those areas? So even though we're performing at a high level, one of the things that's difficult to do when you're performing is perform higher and higher and higher. When you're getting to a certain level, it's tough to show change. When you're struggling, sometimes it's a little bit easier to show big jumps, but when you're getting closer to the top, it's difficult to show those big jumps. This is math 4 through 8, and we are yellow in the well below range for growth. In math 4 through 8, over 3 years, we're still above. In language arts in 2019, we were below 4 through 8. And below in 3-year average as well. In science, in 2019, we met the mark in 4th grade, and we were below in 8th grade. Our 3-year science average of 4th grade is well above, and at the 8th grade level, we're below. In Keystone Algebra in 19 and in the 3-year average, we were below in both categories. Also, we were below in growth in biology for those 2 areas, 2019 and in our 3-year rule. In 2019, we met the mark for growth in literature, but we were in the 3-year average below. So what does this mean? It means that we're achieving on those scores from year to year. We're getting kids to score at a pretty good level. What we're not doing well is getting kids to grow in those levels. And that's been an issue for us for a long time. And I would argue that's sometimes some of the most difficult stuff to do. It's sometimes much easier for us to identify when people are struggling and diagnose that. When people are being successful, but we want them to be more successful, differentiating that and making sure that they grow is a challenge. So how will we do that? What will we do differently? This year we're going to be looking at MAPS, which is one of the systems I asked the board to support me on, where we will be collecting progress data 3 times a year minimally in reading and math, all the way through up to the high school level where they'll be using CDT data. We'll be able to track student growth over the year, so we'll be able to see, without waiting until the end of the year, how they perform. We'll be watching it more closely throughout the year. This is a nationally normed system, so we'll be able to look at data from all over the place, the state and beyond. And one of the nice things about this is it's data we collect right away. It comes out of Chromebooks that kids can take it right there. It's not a very long assessment, and you get immediate feedback on where kids are. So we plan to do that in the opening of the school year, the midpoint of the school year, and the close of the year. 3 times we should have data points to look at to see how we started, where we are at the midpoint, and where we finish. And principals and teams will work together in curriculum meetings to discuss that instruction, the data, and the growth. So the data we collect formatively through the year is used to make adjustments now and not waiting for the following year. So I think that being more involved in looking at that data regularly, having it from the start, and being able to watch it over time will make us more effective at diagnosing things and not looking at the data in hindsight in our rearview mirror when those students are leaving us and going on to another grade. It's a little late then. So it's the version, I think, the DeFore said of being at a physical rather than an autopsy. We want to give a physical and not, when a year is over, looking back, say, oh, we should have done it differently. So thank you. I tried to not make it super long or boring. I know it's a lot of information for you to take in, but I will try to answer questions for you. I'll also post this on our website for you to look at. And then if you have questions, you can always email me as well. If somebody has questions, they can reach out to me.
Dan?
Yes, ma'am.
What does NWEA and MAPS stand for?
Oh,
Do you know?
it's the MAPS program. It's Northwest Educational Association, and MAPS is the name of the program. This was it's been around for about 25 to 30 years now, Dr. Fike. It was created by folks out in the state of Oregon. And their idea was they were trying to find a way to collect growth data, and they wanted to collect it on a big sample size. Again, if you guys remember earlier, I talked about the bigger the sample size, the less likely you are to find standard error deviations that are significant, right? More kids, you should be more accurate. And they came up with this model that was working so well for them in terms of measuring growth from beginning, middle to end, that others started saying, hey, we would like to use that too. And so this group of educators has created a model for us that lots of people across the state are using. Salem, for example, is using this very well to their advantage.
It's a wonderful concept, Dan. Do they also provide you with the means by which you can test for that 3 times a year? In other words, can you?
Yes. So they have,
the materials. You have
yes.
materials that the teachers can get tracking.
Yes. So
factual tracking, not
yes.
just grades, not just grades.
Oh no, it's actually a Lexile scored percentage. I'm preparing to show another thing next week on just MAPS for you. Tonight looked like it was a pretty full agenda, so we decided not to do it tonight. But I have another presentation just on MAPS that I will show you exactly what it collects and how they do it. But just to give you a preview of it, 3 times a year minimally, and it collects data that is nationally normed. So it's not just, hey, what we think. It is us versus kids in the state. It's us versus kids across the nation.
And one more question. What subjects will they be monitoring that closely?
Reading and math are the 2 that we'll be looking at.
Okay, how about at the high school?
They're going to use the CDT, and that's the classroom diagnostic tool, which goes with the Keystone. So it matches up with the test that they give.
That's different. These
yes.
are down like at elementary, middle school.
K through 8.
K through 8.
Right.
And then the high school uses the other system.
Yeah, we actually talked to them about doing it at the high school, and they cautioned us. They said juniors and seniors especially are kind of tested out, and sometimes some of the data you get back isn't great data, and it's not indicative of where people are, because if they've passed those Keystones and you're making them take a test already, they're not going to do it. They're not going to perform.
But you are doing reading and math.
Yes.
Those are the most important basic subjects.
They are tied directly to the other categories, so we want to measure those especially.
You know, Dan, they say every teacher's a reading teacher.
Yes, and we're fortunate. I have some pretty amazing people I work with, my principals and certainly my teachers. I'm real excited to get this in front of them, and we're going to learn to use it well. In year 1, it's really just about getting that test and getting the data back and learning some things about what we do well and what we don't know. But as we continue to use it, because our contract is for years, not just a year. We bought a contract for a significant amount of time using our ESSERS money. We'll be able to follow student growth from year to year to year. And that's going to be really helpful. So right at the outset, it's just us kind of establishing a baseline, but from now on, we'll be able to track things and be able to share information saying, hey, this is where we're making progress, and if we didn't make progress in this area this year, we need to rethink it. And it can also be programmatic. Hey, if 60, 70% of our kids do not perform in an area, we need to look at ourselves. It's not a kid issue, it's an us issue.
Dan, one last question. Are you doing teacher training?
Yes. So we have training set up on the first our in-service day, the last in-service day, which I think is the 30th or the 31st before our students return. Another one in October and another one in February. And each of them is designed to start with how do you give the test. The next one will be how to read that information after you get it back.
You'll do it too.
And then another one after we give our second one to compare first test versus second test.
There'll be ongoing training.
Oh yes, yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Other questions or thoughts?
Are there any other questions?
Help define us as Title I. Will this, I guess?
No, we're school-wide, so every student is considered a Title I student in the elementary schools. But it will be helpful to us in that the data we collect can help us to decide for flexible grouping who needs what and how we're going to group them. So it's not really connected to it, but it will be helpful in that regard in terms of making sure that we become better readers.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks. I'll post that on the website hopefully by tomorrow if you would like to see it, and please bring your reading glasses.
At least he's posting it for you all. We got it on one of these sheets, so you can imagine how small that is.
So sorry.
That sounds nice.
Business manager report.
Nothing at this time.
Solicitor information.
I gave my report to the board in executive session. I don't have anything further at this time. Thank you.
Thank Food Service Director.
Sometimes food is always something that's so important to kids before the school year starts. You know, we're working already on our menus and our plans. You know, with COVID, there's a lot of supply chain issues. I don't know how well any of you might be aware of them, but there's a lot of them out there. We have to actually, we belong to like a consortium, a co-op for purchasing, and we have to, in the spring, try to project what we're going to be using in the next school year. Even though we submit those numbers, you know, I'm going to use 500 cases of Uncrustables. Let's just pick that. Well, there might not be 500 cases available because either there's a manufacturing problem, allocations, things like that occur. But we are planning on moving forward and trying to get back to normal food service. Don't have plans right now to start, you know, serving in the bags like we did last year. We want to get back to normal. That's our plan right now, unless the district's health safety plan changes. One thing that will remain the same as we did this year is that meals will be free to all students. That is due to the waivers issued by the U.S. Department of Agriculture on April 20th, 2021, that will extend for this whole school year. One thing that will be different this school year than last school year is the fact that we won't be sending any shelf-stable breakfast things home or weekend meals. And also the meals are available only for enrolled students. When we had the pickup meals all last year, it could be for little kids that weren't even attending school, you know, all the kids in the family. So, you know, we try to communicate all of our changes as best as we can, whether it's through School Messenger, on our Facebook page, Southmoreland Food Service, or just even calling our office if you ever have any questions. But, you know, I did want to remind everybody that the meals are free, but one thing to remember is it will help the school district possibly with grants and funding. It will also help individual families, possibly for those who would be eligible for the Ebt Cards, to fill out an application. Because let's say next year, 2022, 2023, anybody that filled out an application this year and was approved for free status gets carried over for 30 days for the next school year. Okay? We had a lot of calls from people like, oh, I didn't fill out an application this year. I saw something in the newspaper about the pandemic emergency benefit transfer cards. You know, so that is something families who think they might be eligible want to get that application in. We have already sent out the direct certification letters. So if you think you're free and you didn't get that letter, maybe you're not directly certified, but you could possibly still qualify. Another thing regarding the free and reduced benefit application, if you lose your job at any time or your family size changes, that's always a good time to fill out one of those forms. So if anybody has any questions, our office phone number is 724-887-2015. We have contact information for email for myself and Gail Ellenberger, who's the secretary for the department. So if anybody in the public has any questions, please give us a call or shoot us an email. Board have any questions?
I have a question. I had a lot of people asking me about those EBT cards for the summer. Now, is that like everybody, every family gets them, or you only are free lunch?
Just for people who would have qualified. Yeah, it wasn't for everybody.
I know like Connersville, everybody got them, so some people think everybody should have got them here.
Well, the tricky thing with that, too, is we, fielded some calls from people. If you weren't enrolled in the district, let's say if you were going to a charter school or something, or a cyber school, even though you used to be free, you weren't qualified for that. We had a number on our website for people to contact because that really wasn't our decision. You know, we gave the information to the state, and I want to thank the IT department and all the secretaries who really did a fabulous job of getting that information together to give more benefits to people in need. So I would like to acknowledge them for that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Did I hear you say that there's not going to be any longer weekend programs?
No, that waiver is gone. Yeah, you need to be, just enrolled in the school. We will provide meals for like the SOLA students, but not people that are just charter schools or homeschooled or whatever. We have to follow regulations. We get money from the government. We got to cross our T's and dot our I's and make sure we're following it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you offer, I understand allergies, like to students who have allergies and stuff like that, do you offer anything that?
Yes. She was asking about allergies and celiac diets. Of course, we need the proper documentation and we need advance notice to be sure, there's no cross-contamination, we get the right products in, we talk with families, and, we try to meet school lunch regulations and the diet, at the same time. But there's a form, again, on the website if anybody has issues. We actually do have we do have one celiac person that we're, watching, taking care of right now, feeding right now. And we actually even fed them. Well, I don't want to get into any HIPAA violations there.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
General Fund Board Summary Report.
The board will be asked to consider the approval of the General Fund Board Summary.
Discussion. Fund Accounting Check Summary Listing.
The board will be asked to consider the approval of the General Fund Accounting and Food Service Check Summary listing.
Discussion. Monthly Board Treasurer's Report.
The board will be asked to consider the approval of the Treasurer's Report.
Discussion. PD 2020-2021, number 101, Bill Summary.
The board will be asked to pay the attached invoice submitted by Mr. Patonic.
Discussion.
Is that private information or is that public?
It is, it's a legal bill. And so it doesn't, I'm just looking at the attachment so I can answer your question. It does not include information about specific cases. So it's a public record. There's no problem with attaching it publicly.
It's for $8,000 for work done on one particular job. $8,000. Richard Love. $8,000 some dollars.
Any other discussion?
That was the total.
Yeah, I was gonna.
That's the total for one case. One case.
It was over from how many months? 5 months.
One case, Gail. One case. Richard Love. $8,000.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I ask if it's public.
The document is public.
Well, it has on there, it's case number such and such.
No,
and I know what
the
that
name
is.
of the individual
That
is
case
not
is
public.
referred.
There can't be a
That case is
discussion
referred.
about the name of the individual.
Public, sure.
First reading for policy 903, public participation in board meetings.
The board will be asked to approve the first reading, policy 903, public participation in board meetings.
Discussion.
I'd like to discuss this at length. This is a time in our culture when we need community input and community participation more than we ever did before. Unless I misread this document, anybody who wants to speak at the public meetings now, for as long as I can remember, it was 5 minutes. Now you're allowed 3 minutes, which is a 40% cut in time for your ability to communicate with us. You are the parents, the relatives, the community for our children. If you turn on any television, you can see where there is increased public response to school boards all across the nation. You're seeing it everywhere across the nation. I would have thought that the one thing you would have done was increase it from 5 minutes to 6 minutes or 8 minutes or something like that. But to me, this is just muzzling the public, denying them 40% of the opportunity that they have had to share their feelings and their emotions with us. Furthermore, you can only speak once. Is that right, Michelle? You can only speak once at a meeting?
There will still be public comment at the beginning and public comment at the end. And tonight, I believe, for example, there were 3 periods of public comment. Actually, 4.
Okay, so somebody can come in and they can speak at the beginning of the meeting.
They can speak at the beginning of the meeting.
Then they can speak at the middle of the meeting.
At the end of the meeting.
The end of the meeting.
In a normal meeting circumstance, where we were having one meeting, people would be able to speak 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. They would be able to speak 3 minutes at the end of the meeting.
We've been getting these
in most of our meetings that have occurred over the course of the last year and a half, we have had voting meetings along with discussion meetings all at the same time, which would afford you an opportunity to speak at the beginning of each of those meetings. It would also afford you the opportunity to speak at the end of each of those meetings. If we have a walk-on item, the public is entitled to time to speak on that walk-on item as well. Those things have not changed.
Yes, they have. They're no longer 5 minutes.
The times that you can speak have not changed.
They're no longer 5 minutes.
The time frame has been altered to be more in line with what most districts allow.
Did this come from PSBA, this 3-minute thing? Did this come from PSBA?
I can speak on it. So coming in as your new solicitor, a few board members had asked, and I commented on, the length of the public comment. It's certainly set by the board, but it's longer here than in any other district I'd ever experienced. And just looking at a sampling of public participation policies throughout the districts that our firm represents, some of them have 2-minute comment lengths. Most of them have 3. And I've never come across a district that has 5. That's not to say that, there's comment on some parts of the board where we think that may have worked. The board does set the length of public comment through this particular policy. And so it was suggested that there may be an interest in having it be more in line with what most school districts find to be helpful and effective in running a board meeting that balances the need for participation with the need to do business efficiently.
I don't think giving the public a 40% cut in the time that they have to tell us what they think is effective or positive in any way, shape, or form. I don't know where this came from. I think it's a direct insult to the public, and I certainly hope that people will take a long, hard look at this. If you want to speak to the board, 3 minutes, folks, is not very long. You can hardly say anything in 3 minutes.
I just want to say that we had 3 people speak this evening, and none of them went over 3 minutes. So I think, too, that if this was an important issue, I also think that we have the ability to extend that time. That's a board choice. Is there any other discussion?
Jill, this is not the time in our culture with COVID and the concerns that people have to take away their opportunity to let us know what they want.
Nobody's taking away anybody's opportunity to let us know what they want.
It is, people.
So, I mean, we have emails set up that people can email us anytime that they have a question or concern. Our emails are all listed. I know many of us do respond. Can't answer for everybody. I know I try to respond to every email I receive. Those are other opportunities for people to get into contact with us as well. Is there any other discussion?
Is it still, or I don't know if we amended that. I think if an email is sent in, say to Peggy, as far as public comment goes, is she still, can they request still for that email to be read out loud? As in prior times? Because I don't think we amended that.
No, that would have been part of our policy when we came back. I believe that was.
Yeah, typically boards, I can just speak, that was something that was done during the COVID shutdown when you didn't have public in person at your meetings. The vehicle for public comment in this policy is public attendance at the meeting, coming to the mic, speaking to the board before you vote on items or at the end of the agenda on any item.
Is there any other discussion? Delegates for Westmoreland County Tax Collection Committee, WCTCC.
The board will be asked to appoint Diane Figg, East Huntington Tax Collector, as delegate, and Pam Mondoff, Business Manager, Transportation Director, as alternate delegate for the Westmoreland County Tax Collection Committee.
Discussion? Payment of ESY teachers.
Board will be asked to ratify the payment of ESY teachers the same $35 per hour rate as those teachers who participated in the summer launchpad program.
Discussion?
I think if that's something we wanted to have an MOU with them about, correct? Is that something we could have for the next meeting so we can?
Yeah, we have to approach that subject with the association, and we'll work on doing that quickly so that we can have a report for you by next week before you vote.
Thanks.
Payment of ESY aids.
The board will be asked to ratify the payment of ESY aids, the increased rate of $17.50 per hour.
Discussion? Army Star Program.
The board will be asked to approve the Army Star Program at no cost to the district for the 2021-2022 school year, which is a programmatic offering for grades 9 through 12. STAR is a partnership between the high school and the U.S. Army created to leverage the expertise and resources of local U.S. Army soldiers to help students develop skills that will enable and encourage them to take active roles in their own life within their families, their school, and community, with the ultimate goal of graduating high school and creating enriching post-secondary options.
Discussion?
So it was something I brought to the attention of the others. I just didn't know if anybody had any questions. I've kind of been helping to lead that, the STAR program. So if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer them. I know Mr. Masher gave you a great synopsis, but if you have specific questions, I can try to answer them.
Will students go to this of their own interest, or will students be recruited into it, or how will this work?
It's of your own interest. We're going to provide opportunities for kids to do it during the school day. Mr. Krofchek has already looked at his schedule. There's an opportunity during the day for kids who are interested to learn more, and an opportunity to ask questions and to become more familiar with what this program can provide to people beyond what we often do. I think I've made the point before, when you are interested in learning a trade, you can learn some things here at the school, but if you really want to get a really specific training, you're going to the CTC. You can get a great liberal education here, a basic education here, but if you want to get into an AP level and post-secondary, we offer that. But for kids who are looking for service, we really don't have a lot of strategies for them. We don't have a lot of ways other than a recruiter coming in and you maybe meeting up with them. This would be a place for them to actually talk to someone who's doing it, to talk about what it offers, provide, depending on what we like from it, lessons in leadership, lessons in physical fitness. We can decide that, what we want it to do and not do, and it's an opportunity for us to trial it. I think it's very worthwhile. I don't know that everyone knows. My son is currently a basic, so I find this to be very important. It was really important that we found that for him, and I think it will help other students as well to have that option to learn more And it's not a promise or a guarantee that someone will choose it, but it is an opportunity to get the experience and ask questions and to be armed with information when you're ready to graduate about what you want to do next.
So is this an actual class that they will sign up for, like an elective?
It's a period that will be offered where they'll be able to go to it, and we have a teacher who is interested in doing that for us. We'll also need somebody from the outside. If we want to go further than that, Mrs. Smith, then now we're talking about a ROTC program. This is just kind of like a trial to see, one, how much interest we have. So there's no cost to the district. It's really just to see if kids want this and what do they want from it. So we'll survey them early. Do you want leadership? Do you want military history? Do you want physical fitness? What are the things that you would like to know more about? And then provide that. And at the end of the year, we'll evaluate whether or not this is something we want to continue to pursue.
So will we need to have an MOU with the teachers to create a supplemental for a teacher to?
So no, because this is not something that there's no payment or anything like that for this. It's a STARS program. There's no. Now, if we do ROTC, we would have to do that. Yes, we would have to pay.
For our teacher that's going to be doing
it would be part of the school day. It could be assigned as a duty if that person chooses to do it. So it's not something that we would have to do something outside of the contract. It'd be at the discretion of that teacher if he wanted to do it. And we have the time available, and if Mr. Krofchek says it fits and that teacher's willing, then we can do it. But there's no cost at this point because it's just to see.
That we could have a representative come in to see the high school and, do a special about, like in the auditorium, so to say,
Yeah.
Just to be able to show every student, like, what it's about. I mean,
So-
I'm all about, like, a ROTC program.
Right.
Of course. I mean,
Right.
absolutely.
That's something I'll ask. I don't know how that part of it works because we'd have to try to give equal time to all of the branches. Army is the one I know because I actually spent a lot of time with those guys. So, but I think it's an interesting thing for us to pursue. Do we have student interest to know more about this? And if so, can we block out time in the school day, not after school when kids have activities and then we're asking them to choose part of our school day where they have access to meet with somebody in a cycle, almost like a club, and get that opportunity to do it. So I'm excited about it. We still have some details to work out, but I want to put that in front of everyone to consider. And Mr. Krofchek was really helpful in meeting with Sergeant Davis, looking at the schedule and saying, hey, we can fit this in as part of our rotation. There's still some other things to iron out, but just to give you a heads up, we think this could be great for kids. And hopefully you'll think that also.
Dan, I want to thank you for doing this. There's two things about this program. First of all, the people who work in these programs are fabulous role models for our children. And secondly, one of the emphasis that the state says is, what do they call it, school to world or school to work or something. They want us to allow them to explore options and possibilities. And this is a very unique niche for those people to be able to do that, to meet that goal that is very, very strongly stressed in the educational component.
It's just a nice option for kids who are trying to figure out what they might want to do. And more information is always good. So if you're not sure and you want to attend and see, then you learn more about it, and then you can make better decisions. I think that we just miss an opportunity to provide kids with that information, and we'd like to be more prescriptive and deliberate about how we share it.
Any other discussion? Affiliation agreement with St. Vincent College.
The board will be asked to approve an affiliation agreement between St. Vincent's College and the Southmoreland School District for the placement of pre-service students and interns to work and collaborate within the district.
Discussion? District comprehensive plan.
The board will be asked to approve the district comprehensive plan, and hopefully we will be adding the the elementary school and the primary center plans.
Discussion?
Something that once we do vote on it and agree on it and everything gets proofread and everything, this will be put on our website?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? District athletic health and safety plan.
The board will be asked to approve the Southmoreland School District Athletic Health and Safety Plan.
Discussion?
I think that the only thing that the solicitors told us is that the state has mandated that you have to wear masks on a bus. Is that correct? That's not a choice we can make.
That is correct. The CDC has a federal order in place right now that mandates masking on transportation, which they've defined to include school vehicles. I did take an opportunity to snap some language from another health and safety plan that I worked on, and I sent that to Mr. Masha so that he can work on including it in the health and safety plan.
But that's the only mask that's mandated by anyone.
That is correct. The only mask currently that is mandated. Now, there are daily discussions on many levels around whether and when that could change. So we'll continue to monitor that.
Any other discussion? Disposal of old equipment.
The board will be asked to authorize the disposal of old equipment pursuant to school code regulations and school policy, and we are trying to get an accurate list of all the artifacts that would include.
Discussion. Disposal of old books.
The board will be asked to authorize the disposal of old books pursuant to school code regulations and school policy. Once again, we're working on getting this.
Discussion.
What is the school policy for that?
School policy, we tried to find somebody that would take secondhand books, but right now there's not too many companies out there doing that.
Any other discussion? YMCA after-school program.
The board will be asked to approve the YMCA after-school program, which is free for students. The district is asked to provide transportation for 2 days. This fall, the YMCA will reinitiate the 7th and 8th grade initiative program, which provides free membership to middle school students. The goal of the initiative is to encourage youth to make healthy choices and avoid risky behaviors so they can succeed in school and life. We have participated in that.
These are not dependent upon each other, correct? These two things are not dependent upon each other? The providing transportation, because I don't think we've provided transportation for YMCA in the past, have we?
Yes, we have. I think there's a bus that drives the Mount Pleasant route, and they've just dropped students off at the YMCA.
I thought this was our YMCA program in-house.
No, this is directly at the YMCA.
I understand. Okay. I thought this was the after-school program that we have, that the YMCA comes to us in the morning and after school. This is different?
This is the one directly at the YMCA.
Okay. Just for 7th and 8th graders.
And these buses would already be going that route. Is there any other discussion? Purchase of a mobile generator.
The board will be asked to authorize the maintenance department to purchase a mobile generator. 3 quotes will be received.
Discussion.
Is this a new purchase, or is this to replace something?
This is in case there are power outages and we need equipment run, or if there's an outside project that maybe a welder needs to be used and there's not power accessible, so this is availability for them.
Any other discussion? Formation of district threat assessment team.
The board will be asked to approve the formation of district threat assessment team. Threat assessment team requires the inclusion of A, individuals with expertise in A, school health, B, counseling, school psychology or social work, C, special education, and D, school administration. The designated team leader, the school safety and security coordinator, and other optional members may include members of the community or other agencies that can assist with threat assessment.
Discussion. Formation of district safety committee.
The board will be asked to approve the formation of the district safety committee, and I do believe Mrs. Mollendoff that is required.
Yes, I've reached out to our insurance agent. They've already given me some information that is attached, and we will be working on getting that in process.
Any other discussion? PACE survey.
The board will be asked to authorize district participation in the PACE survey for grades 6, 8, and 10 for the fall of 2021. We have participated in the past at grade level 10, and for next week, I do have that survey results attached to board docs.
Discussion?
I think we should discuss this with the community. This PACE survey has been very controversial in the past. They will ask students questions related to alcohol, tobacco, drug use, violent behaviors, mental health, health risk factors, and risk and protective factors. There are a number of people who do not want their children to take this survey. And when you read the questions, it says, what if a parent does not wish their child to participate? The district coordinators will be working to distribute parental consent forms. They will inform parents and caregivers about the survey and tell them to contact the principal's office to opt their child out of participating in the survey. If a parent declines, they don't want their child to take it, their child will be allowed to read or participate in some other alternate activity while classmates are taking the survey. I have dealt with this in the past. This is not a new thing. And I have been personally contacted by people who are very uncomfortable with this. It goes so far to say that if a student is taking this test and they don't know if they're uncomfortable with the question, don't answer it, because there are some very sensitive areas. And one of the things says, are sensitive questions asked? And they are. So I would encourage the parents to look at this very carefully. Many people don't know about it. I think you should look at it carefully and make an informed decision. The best decisions are informed decisions. I asked a dear friend of mine, it says you can get questions, and she went on the computer, the internet, and you hit this big long website, and all it is an application to see, if you're trying to get it. I don't know when you get it, how you get it. It's not what you think it is when it says hit this website and you're going to get these questions, because I don't know what they do with your application or how you get it or what they do with it. But pay attention to this thing. This is, I'm not telling people what to do. Many people, if you're fine with it, you're fine with it. But people who aren't, I think you need to know that you have options regarding this thing.
Yeah, and you can opt out of it, because I was just looking into it. And if you do want a copy of the questions ahead of time, you can get on the website. There's a place that you can, they don't provide the questions on the website, but there's a place that you can request a copy of the questions if you're concerned. I don't know how long it takes to get to you, but I know that you can do that.
Although the survey does state that it's confidential and anonymous, so they're not necessarily collecting information about, in particular, your children. Everything is anonymous and just general information.
Candace, it's hard for me to accept that, considering what we have with technology today and the Facebook, the stuff, the monitoring, the hacking, the stuff like that. I just want parents to make an informed decision about this.
Is there any other discussion? Combustible gas monitoring.
This is informational purposes. This is the second quarter of 2021 combustible gas monitoring report.
Air quality and water quality testing.
The board will be asked to approve the testing of air quality and water quality throughout the district, and that should be done on a regular basis.
Discussion.
So we're going to get more information about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to. Charlie's working on getting costs and everything.
Eitc letter of support.
The board is asked to authorize a letter of support to the Community Foundation of Westmoreland County expressing interest to participate in the Educational Improvement Tax Program for the 2021-2022 school year, and a copy of the EIT score letter is attached.
Discussion.
Mrs. Monda, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we got our EITC money from a different foundation, not the Community Foundation.
I'm sorry, I was answering it. So
I thought that in the past we had gotten it from a Pittsburgh foundation, something that was not the Westmoreland Community Foundation. Will this enable us to receive funding from them as well?
I have to check into that, and I'll get back to you for next week. To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission, Edap contribution.
The board will be asked to provide financial support in the amount of $1,020 to the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission, Inc. for prevention services by the St. Vincent's College Prevention Project, which we have participated in the past.
Discussion?
Yeah, I understand we've used these people in the past. Have you ever thought about going in the direction of a nonprofit place like Sage's Army, or gosh, they have many of them. There's NAAA, and doing that and working with actual people who can come in and kind of give their life story, especially in our high school, to these students who are can absolutely be thrown into this kind of a life. No,
So, is this the program through St. Vincent? Excuse me, I'm sorry. Is it for all grades, or is it just in the elementary grades? Because I understand what Nicole's saying about the experience, especially for high school kids, but I also think for the younger kids, I feel like St. Vincent does a pretty good job of making it kind of age appropriate. So, is St. Vincent's for all the grades, or is it just the elementary grades?
We have multiple services. Actually, I need to meet with Donna King, who is the prevention service specialist. So I have to set up a meeting with her, and I can have additional information about other programmatic possibilities concerning that, because we do a yearly meet with her, and in the past we have taken advantages of other services. So I do have to schedule a meeting, and I will get that information.
And I think this is not paying for services. This is a donation.
Yes.
This is not saying we're going to use these services. This is literally us saying we're donating money. I know we had a lot of talk about this last year because we weren't sure that we should be giving money. I can't even remember if we passed it last year, to be honest. I think there was a lot of discussion. I can't remember. But I know that there was a lot of talk, because this is not for services. This is saying we'll donate $1,020 to you. So we already pay for St. Vincent services in another area.
And what do they do? What is, I understand, I'm all for donating any kind of charitable donation, but what do we use their services for? Anything?
If you look at the second page, there's an invoice attached that seems to give a little bit more information about, it looks like we're matching part of a grant, is the way it's worded, that then is used to provide various services, is the way it looks like it's worded.
So it definitely looks like this is based in elementary, because I'll be honest, and I'm not trying to be rude, but too good for drugs is definitely not a high school lingo.
It looks like that is, though. That's, this says it's 30.5 service days of REAL, Realistic Education About Life, elementary in-class services, plus 65 service days of secondary services, Project Alert Booster, Too Good for Drugs and Violence, and Project Success. So it looks like it's for both secondary and primary. But I do agree that we should be looking at things like Sage's Army, which puts on a fabulous program, that we could be getting things like that could come in that would not cost the district anything.
Especially in our high school. As far as, my girls have been in high school, I've never seen any kind of seminar being put on and nothing. And they literally will come to school and do it for free.
Yes.
And we've got to use those resources. Because talk about COVID running rapid. I think drugs and alcohol are just right up there with it, with that virus.
You would mention another one other than Sage's Army?
There's Narcotics Anonymous. I think, I don't know if this is, I'm sorry.
Can I reach out to you via email and maybe we can?
Yeah. There's Force, there's SPHS, Tim Phillips at Westmoreland County Drug Task Force. There's so much out there I think we should really look into and implement here.
Any other discussion? IU7 PARS membership.
The board will be asked to join the Pennsylvania Association of Rural Small Schools at a membership cost of $850. There are a number of schools in Westmoreland County that are participating, and that is through the IU.
That's what Mr. Heishi was referring to when he was saying, Dr. if I could ask him a question, now I can't remember what it was said. What we use the IU7 for.
Well, this is to increase advocacy for small school districts, you know, to reach out and let the smaller districts, most generally, it's the larger districts that have the voice. This agency advocates for those smaller school districts to have a little bit more greater voice.
Okay.
But to answer your larger question of what WIU7 does, any child in the district that has services, can be physical therapy, occupational therapy, vision, those types of supports would come from WIU7. We may also have some children attending WIU7 at Clairview School. That's part of WIU7.
All right, thank you.
Are you still talking about PARSS?
Yes.
Okay. Did we belong last year?
No.
This is new.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Sarden from Ymca is the area, like our coordinator, and she is a big advocate for it. She just asked if we would consider being a part of the process. It is an advocacy for smaller school districts.
Well, they list on the back what they say they'll do for you.
We have a problem.
Is that water coming down?
What's happening?
She's getting water.
There's water. Can I have a motion to adjourn for a 10-minute recess, please?
I'll make it.
Second. A second. All those in favor? Aye.
Yeah, we might want to move those electrical cords all
Ours membership, sorry.
I think your mic works better.
Woohoo!
Yes.
A little bit of water.
Everybody's.
Maybe it was something you moved when you plugged
That's
it
what
in.
happened.
Maybe something wasn't connected. Something's
Maybe not.
Okay, concession stand.
Board will be asked to authorize the Southmoreland Area Midget Football Association to use stadium concession facilities pending completion of the use of facilities documentation. That's 707.
Slowing down.
So in the 707, there's a charge, correct? Or do they pay?
There's a scale I should look at. I think it's associated with district
Okay,
area levels.
And there will no longer be security.
Yeah, that was a big job.
Paid for by the district, I believe. We are not covering that. Is that correct? Maybe Mr. Kiefer can verify that. I thought that was discussion that was happening. Did I?
No longer security at what?
At midget football games.
Mr. Kiefer, can
Midget football games, are we covering those security-wise, or was that something we're not going to be able to do? I think I remember hearing that.
Well, I think in the policy 707, it lists what the price is. If you're using the building, there is a policy as to who has to have security, who has to have custodials, and there's a price, what it is per hour. So I think that's all you'd have to do is we wouldn't pay it, but whoever's renting the facility pays it.
We would need to be sure that that would cover their time and a half, because that's where we would be.
See policy 707.
It's not the top. Oh, yeah, it's different.
Group B.
So
It's
what?
Group B, which is what Ymca falls under. They pay the rate of what Group A pays, but instead of, in lieu of, and this was the last 707, for those that have been around on the board, I think we've revised it 15 times. They don't pay supplemental charges. They pay a flat fee for the event at the stadium and a $75 cleanup fee. However, that kind of does run counter to the necessity of security and things of that nature. So,
And what have we done in the past?
in terms
How
of,
have we handled this in the past?
it honestly, Dr. Fike, it's been so many different ways that
For the
I
past
could,
8 years, there's been security there.
yeah.
At our expense, at the expense of the district.
I don't know who pays. Yeah,
That's what I'm asking.
not true.
Right.
Now, if we don't supply security, are we liable if something happens there?
I'm not sure.
I thought
The
that
concession
if
stand we're talking about. It's
What number?
21?
I thought you had to have, depending on the event, I think it says in policy 707, I know that I filled it out several times. It's a very
I
convoluted.
know, we have security at the Santa breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Who pays for
Yep.
that?
We even had to,
It's
That's a
all
school
wrapped in, right?
function.
Huh?
I mean, that would be a-
actually, PTA is part of Group A, I believe, so they did not pay because all of the money went to the district eventually, I guess. But I don't know what the other
You
groupings
didn't fall
are.
under 707? That didn't fall under 707?
I don't know what you said.
It didn't fall under 707, but you fell under 707A.
We had to fill out the 707 policy every time. And there were security and
I think we
custodial.
should, I think
And cafeteria.
they need security there.
Yeah.
Well, then we need to know
make
how
it
much that
required.
security cost, and that's not in Mr. Kiefer's budget.
Michelle,
So-
is this a lot of money? Are we talking about a lot of money?
We're talking about next year Sunday, and all the Western Pennsylvania teams come
All day.
and I'm paying, it's usually sometimes it's 7-8 hour day. And with my limited manpower, that turns into overtime.
We've never had armed guards at these facilities. The only reason I know this is because I just come out of midgets for the past 8 years, so there was always 2 security guards there the whole entire day. But also, we paid Roy Cunningham to be there, probably triple time, or whoever, for whatever reason, he was there to empty garbage cans. So, anyways, I don't know. I think we're probably off topic here, but definitely we need to have security there for these games because they can get pretty rowdy. Maybe it's not our call, but we need further discussion on it.
Well, I think that there's a cost associated with that, and is that cost to come from the school district when this is not a school district function?
Right.
I mean, his budget is incredibly lacking.
Michelle, can I ask Pam Mondock if she could give us estimates as what security would cost if we had to provide it for an event like this? Would a Midget Football Association, would it be like 4 to 6 hours, something like that?
Just at 7.
That's concession center.
Okay, so it's an all day of security.
Security at midget football games. Says nothing good.
I mean, this is something for the kids, you know, and so I feel warm towards it. Pam, would you mind doing that so that we would have an idea what it would cost if we had to provide security?
Is there any other discussion? I know it's not in your budget. That's the issue here. I just remembered that we had discussed that at one point with Mr. Keeper in the meeting. So that's why I brought it up. So I don't want somebody to think we have that worked out when that was the discussion and there's not enough coverage.
You need to know the cost. I think before you approve it, absolutely. And I did pull up 707, and it depends on the type of event. You have to have them fill out the paperwork before you can approve it.
Are we talking about 21?
We were talking about the concession stand, but I'm sorry, that led to I remembered hearing that, and I just thought that if we are not going to be able to provide security for that, Southmoreland Midget Football needed to know that.
I just have one question about that. So the midgets are taking over the concession stand, but they're also, so they pay it twice or like more money? Because we always paid to use the stadium. So now, we're talking about Friday night games.
No, I think this is still midgets.
This is Friday night games.
Okay, this is Friday.
Friday night games.
Well, midgets take on Friday night games.
Yeah. So they're paying twice?
Let's get the guy.
Hello. Is this on? Hello, can you hear me? All right, so the original concession stand topic was about Friday night football games. Normally our booster programs run their events. So soccer runs boys soccer, girls soccer runs girls soccer, volleyball does volleyball. Football and band boosters do not want to do the football games this year. So the Youth Association offered to step in, run concessions Friday nights. So we have it. It's no cost to the district to run a concession stand. They provide all their own food, drinks to sell. We don't do any of that. I know our soccer boosters don't pay to use it for those nights. Volleyball doesn't pay to use it for those nights. But that was the original thing, was for Friday night games. In terms of Sundays, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, like it literally, that's not clarified here. All it states is the board will be asked to authorize the Southmoreland Area Midget Football Association to use the stadium concession facilities pending completion of the use of facilities documentation. Yeah, that's all it sounds like it's for their. So I had no idea that was Friday night.
I didn't know it was talking about Friday nights.
I'm sorry.
In terms of the Sundays, the 707 was completed. Mr. Kropchak received it this week, so Sundays that form is in. So if we have to have more conversation on that, we can. Their first games for Sunday are the following Sunday. So not this upcoming Sunday, the following week. So
We need to figure that out.
Now, Friday nights, we still get the gate, right?
yes, we still get the gates for Friday night. That still goes to the district. That's all on our side still. So
But that's not on here. No, and there's nothing on the agenda about Friday nights, though.
That's what 21's about.
It doesn't say it, though.
It doesn't say it. That's where my confusion was. I thought we
Are
were
these
still talking about
two different things? We're doing both? We're letting them use the concession stand while they're using the facilities.
right for Sundays, and then they had asked about using it for Friday nights to run it for us because football boosters and band did not want to do it this year.
See, I had heard that other activity boosters would have the opportunity to do Friday night football games.
Is there any other boosters organization within the district that wanted to use the facility for Friday?
All the other
night?
ones, if they wanted, it was one night. They didn't want to hold it every single week because it was too much of a responsibility to run it.
If I may, so it used to be like, I know, not last year, but the year prior, like almost every Friday game, home game, each sporting, like volleyball during the fall season, volleyball, cross country, like everybody had a Friday night that they would come in and volunteer to do that time.
That did occur before, and we did away with that because we were paying somebody to run the concession stand. So
We never got,
no,
as far as I can
you
remember.
all, the group itself did not get paid, but we were paying an individual to do all of the ordering and those types of things, and then the groups were coming in, they were running the concession stand, and each child, I believe, was able to put money away for a Letterman's jacket. Am I making that up?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So we did away with that because we did away with paying that individual.
And
So-
I think it was really hard for that individual too. I think
Yeah.
it was super hard to know what was going on. I think if we can get someone else to do it and just provide food for people at games, I think that's
That was my look at it this year, especially with not having it last year, just trying to get it back to some semblance of normal and then reevaluate after this year and look at it.
So could we essentially put in here that like on Friday nights, so we can have the area midget football team volunteer their time to do us. In return, we offer them on Sunday that they can open up the concession.
No, this would be just something different. You're making money on Friday night.
They're going to keep all the profit.
We're already
Okay,
doing that.
okay, all right.
So
Yeah, they would
that
get the
needs to be
profit
added
from all
to
that because
the
they're
profit.
supplying the food and the
Yeah.
drinks and.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that just didn't say Friday. So I thought we were still discussing Sunday. Sorry.
That was real, that was very
Okay.
unclear.
Any other discussion about this?
Let's table it.
So next week, we can have two separate line items to vote on for this.
One's Friday and one will be.
Okay, Amazon Future Explorers Program.
Middle School STEM and Computer Science Department is requesting to partner with Project STEM, part of the Amazon Future Engineer Program. This partnership is at no cost to the district and it provides both STEM and computer science curriculum opportunities. The board will be asked to approve this partnership with Amazon, and I hope to have a document or something that would be available to you to review that program.
Discussion?
Mr. Asher, would this be an option for gifted kids because it has the engineering in it?
I think it's straight across the board for the STEM program. Documents like this is for everybody.
This could really help our gifted program, though, I think.
It could, I don't know the direction.
We don't know,
that
yeah, but
go
it
in.
could.
There's
It could.
obviously other directions it could.
No cost.
Any other discussion? Blackboard renewal?
Board is asked to renew the contract with Blackboard for SchoolWire software subscription and SchoolWire's web in the amount of $7,619.83, which is an increase of $149.41 from the 2020-2021 fiscal year.
So this is our
This is our website.
discussion, I'm sorry.
Is this our website that we, so
Yes.
they do our website?
No.
We pay
No.
them $7,619?
No, we just pay that much for the platform. So that was what I wanted to say is there are other options out there. I think we should be exploring for something that maybe is more user-friendly. Maybe would have a web address that wasn't,
SchoolWire
Yeah.
005829.
yes. I think that this definitely needs some work, and I would like to see other options before we vote to go with this.
Michelle, is that number 7,000, is that for a year?
Yes.
For the whole year?
Yes.
So that breaks out to, if you divide by 12, like $800 a month?
Yes, and that's really, and it's just for the
600.
platform. They're not doing anything for us, they're just providing us the platform.
I'd rather get a cheaper one and pay someone that much money
Yes.
to maintain it.
600 a month.
So, I mean, could we get our students in IT to work on something? I mean, do we have, like, is that a possibility? I mean, or web designing, like,
Is it a supplemental,
What the,
the website? Running the website, maintaining?
Not right now, it's
right
not.
now.
So right now, no
that
one
is
does
something
it.
that I'm working on proposing to the
Okay,
board.
okay. So
If you remember, we had previous discussions about that.
if we hold off on this, what's the date that this has to be
Well,
renewed by?
that's what I was just going to ask about, because this invoice says that the start date was 7/1/21.
Did we already pay this?
And so, like,
This already paid?
Do you know if this
Has this been paid already?
I do not believe that it is. We just got it the other day, and that's what I was actually getting ready to text Joanne, hold off and don't pay it. To my knowledge, it is not. I'll double check that.
Well, it looks like it was supposed to be paid on 6/25/2021.
It was. It was supposed to be paid before I got here. I got it the other day. They sent the information, and that's what I said. We have to post it and make sure that it's approved before we pay it.
I just would like to look at other
options.
I mean, I think we've been saying for a long time that the website needs some real help. Is there any other discussion on that item?
If we do this, we don't run the risk of having no website. They're not going to turn it off. That's what I'm worried about.
And that's a distinct possibility. I can contact them. I explained to them that, I was new to the district. I just started here on July 1, and that's why I didn't realize that it was out there. I can make sure, I can talk with them and see how long they'll hold it.
Maybe they'll allow us a monthly until it's decided. Maybe they'll allow us to pay per month just for the month. I mean, obviously we've already used the service, so we're going to have to pay that amount.
See, I know on a personal, for my business, it's a very smaller scale to this. A lot of the money that I pay for is in email addresses. We have a ton of those here. So if something is to do with the email addresses that everybody has here, we're paying for that. And I bet you that's where a lot of the money's at. It's not for the website, it's for the email addresses. For everyone to have an email address, because I pay a lot of money for that myself. And
They're actually through Gmail, so I don't know, maybe.
it's not, they're not Gmail.
Yeah, they are.
Well,
We
they're
sign in through
Gmail, but
Gmail.
it's southmoreland.net.
I don't know where they're getting around it to.
I mean, that very well may be. I just think that this is not very user-friendly system, and there are better ones out there. And
Oh, there's a lot of money.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, item number 24, Scottsdale Parade.
Scottsdale Council approved the annual Halloween parade. They would like to ask for permission to line up the parade in the Southmoreland school parking lot. I do believe that's the elementary school. On Sunday, October 31st, 2021, from 5 to 6:30. The board will be asked to approve this request.
Is there any discussion? Fall Festival Parade.
Organizers of the Scottsdale Fall Festival are requesting the usage of the Scottsdale Elementary School parking lot for the Scottsdale Fall Festival Parade on September 18th. The usage would be from 10:30 to 12 o'clock noon. The parade would begin as a lineup in the parking lot and then move as a parade unit to Chestnut Street and finish at the bottom of Pittsburgh Street near Carson's Catering. The board will be asked to approve this request.
Discussion? Okay, moving on to personnel matters. Intermittent FMLA.
The board is asked to approve an intermittent FMLA leave for employee number 1783.
Discussion? Resignation of security guard.
The board will be asked to accept the resignation of Ken Stewart as district security guard.
Discussion?
Is this a position that we're going to replace, we're going to advertise for?
Yes, we've already advertised for this.
You already did?
Yes.
Oh, okay, didn't know. Thank you.
Substitute van driver.
The board will be asked to approve the hiring of Robert Marhefka, who is currently a Southmoreland School District transportation aide and will stay as a transportation aide as a substitute van driver, and this is on an as-need basis.
Discussion? Posting for middle school National Junior Honor Society supplemental position.
The board will be asked to approve the posting for the middle school NJHS sponsor.
Discussion? Advertise for paraprofessionals.
The board will be asked to approve the advertising for paraprofessional positions. I do believe, Mr. Hachi, this is for substitute. Is that correct?
Discussion?
Did you say full-time and substitutes?
No, just substitutes.
Just substitutes.
We will amend that to make sure that that is clear.
Any other discussion? Hiring of full-time and part-time school police.
Board will be asked to approve the hiring of Tim Karpiak as a full-time school police officer at a rate of $23 per hour, and Adam Kajawa as a part-time armed security guard at a rate of $19 per hour.
Discussion?
Yeah, I think that's something we're going to have to add to the agreement, because I don't think we have that position in the agreement, an armed security guard. I think that's a new position to the district.
And this Ken wasn't on.
Correct. So in our agreement, I think we just have security and we have school police.
Maybe he did ask us to add it in, but maybe we just didn't. Or I guess maybe we were posting for the positions of that. We didn't add it in the contract. Or
This is a different position. This is sort of a different position altogether. We never had this position specifically.
School police. This isn't orange.
This is
Ms.
armed
Kiefer,
security.
there's a difference between.
Yeah, what is the question?
So we would need to add that position, an armed security guard, to the agreement because it's not currently in the agreement. It's technically a new position because we have school police and we have security guards.
School police officer is the Act 120 certified, either through the Municipal Police Academy or retired PhD group. Armed security officer guard is a person who's qualified under Act 235 and he's able to be certified. So that's why the pay is different. So it is a different position.
So I think to cover ourselves, we need to create that job position, say what the pay is, because it's a new pay, we're deciding that, and add it to the agreement next week when we hire him. Does that make sense? Just so we know he's covered under the same agreement that everybody else is.
Okay. For moving forward, we've been working on job descriptions for new hires. Would that also do you have a job description for this individual?
The job description would be the same as police officer without arrest power.
We also had another position at our last.
I think it was Van Aids, you told me.
Yeah.
With the address, too. And I do have to say, I sat in the interviews for 2 out of 3 of the gentlemen, and Mr. Kiefer and Mr. Price were running the interviews, and they did a really good job. I mean, they were very professional. It was very thorough. They did a fantastic job at interviewing these guys.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, resignation of paraprofessional.
Board will be asked to accept the resignation of Lori Mondock as a district paraprofessional.
Discussion?
Does that fall under that number 5 then, where we're advertising for paraprofessional positions? Is that the same thing? I mean, this leads to this?
So do we need to advertise for a full-time paraprofessional, or is that already filled?
Even with her resignation? Gotcha. It's fine. I understand.
Me too. Advertise for school dentist.
The board will be asked to authorize the administration to advertise for a district dentist.
Any discussion?
Have one previously?
We did. He decided not to return.
Oh, I never even knew that.
Is there anything else?
I did have a question going back to one. Am I allowed to? Can we do that? Like, can I say I want to discuss something?
What was it?
Posting for middle school NJ Edge, the National Honor Society for supplemental position. If in that position, when it was ended up being vacated the year prior, Did we find anybody else to fill that position?
No.
During the time?
Did it.
Did anybody volunteer? I don't want to say
Yes, Mrs.
volunteer to step
Kuhar
in.
did.
Okay, so was she? Okay. What'd she say?
With the assistance of.
Okay. Should we have supplemented her for that? Because she did the position.
No, but we do, if we hire people outside of the district for these supplemental positions, they are paid.
And I heard she.
Under what
Is she? What is her role? I'm not sure. Is she
She's a principal.
Okay.
She was a principal of the middle school last year, and right? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like,
And she filled that NJHS.
Yes.
And then that
For the entire
supplement
year.
position was vacated.
For half a year.
For the end of the year.
6 months.
And she took it on and
It's the board's
Did a
decision,
heck of a job.
ultimately. I mean, certainly, if you have a history of compensating people who've done the position, you know, I think the board has to decide what they'd like to do in that, given that information. Has there been a history of administrators stepping in and covering the positions without compensation? That's another
I don't
question
think
to
there's
consider.
ever had to be. I think it's always been done under a particular individual, and then, you know, different things happen and stuff, and
Candace makes a good point.
Right now, Dr. Clara is serving as our videographer, and he's not getting supplemental for that. So,
Dr. Claire has been our videographer, as well as Steve Smithola, and neither one of them are being compensated under the agreement.
I mean, it's.
I think they all. So I mean, if we.
I think we need to go one way or the other.
I think it's a
all around.
discussion for executive session.
Yes.
Sure.
Can we add that to next week's executive session?
Okay, citizen comments. Oh, they already spoke, both of them. Did speak. And they probably, somewhere in my, yeah.
Jan Kiefer, 628 Homestead Avenue. I would like you to do electromagnetic field testing when you do the air testing, or at least acknowledge that you're not doing that testing, and you'll catch up with the times. I'd like one of the board members to post the teacher's contract so that people like us can see what's going on. That's 60% of the budget. What the hell? Why shouldn't we be able to see it, right? Let's see. On extending the time when someone comes up to the podium, that's great if you're the government and you're in charge and you got the authority, but the First Amendment isn't about you deciding when to give us 2 more minutes. The First Amendment is about you listening to us when you don't want to listen to us, when you don't think it's warranted to go any farther. I would urge everyone to vote no on this. This is a little one. I was going to welcome our solicitor and our new business manager, and I would like to welcome them into the frame. Then I immediately like to turn to the solicitor and say, we don't need your ideas. When the board asks you to give us 5 minutes to 3 minutes, we don't want to be like everyone else. We don't want to make the mistakes that everyone else is making out. We're not looking for the uniformity and to fall into the same lockstep thing. That's what local control is about.
Mr. Kiefer, I'm going to stop you for a second, and I did pause your time.
Thank you.
The new solicitor did not take it upon herself to change anything. It was requested of her to help us streamline our meetings because we are here sometimes until 11:30. So we are trying to streamline what is going on here so that people who do want to be here present for the meeting are not here till 11 o'clock.
Right.
So that was requested. That wasn't her bringing her ideas here to people that didn't want them. It was requested.
I understand it was requested, and I also will listen to the tape and point to you that we did hear some nice editorializing going on there. And when we talk about the achievement of the students, I think that's a real important question. And You know, I forget what the Russian was. It said sometimes a century's history is made in a year. And certainly that argument could be made about the world that we're living in here today. 3 years ago, you know, I would have been out there in left field. That's a legitimate statement to make right now. That is a time when in the community you need to foster interaction with the people and debate. We can talk about masks and we can talk about all these things to a pretty high level. But you notice in America right now, there's no debate. Anthony Fauci won't debate anybody that's formidable. None of his high staff will. None of these doctors that show up on TV will actually debate someone who knows what they're talking about. And that's infiltrated clear to here with you and me. We have no forum in town, and like it or not, board members, you're it. It's not going to be the township supervisors. It's not going to be the churches. It's not going to be the Scottsdale Council. If you don't step up and make sense of this point of history and give us the opportunity to have real people come out and have real, honest, open debates, civil debates, public debates, that is what we need. We don't need 40% cut down. We don't need you stopping the streaming comments. We don't need you stopping the streaming. We don't need you giving us obstacles to come to meetings where it's been a nightmare for years. We need you to turn the corner and say, you know what, next week we're going to have a meeting at the gazebo. We're going to talk about this or that, and we're going to bring out the expertise in the community so we're not all sitting at home watching screens. And why is the concession stand allowed to sell the God's worst food on earth, but yet our cafeteria has to jump through all these hoops? Why do we go to Halloween parades, throw out chemical food that's wrapped in a candy wrapper, and children pick it up off the gutter and eat it? Why do we do that? You know, I mean, these are just questions that someone could change. You know, it doesn't cost much to say we're not going to do this anymore. What have we done for the health of the children since COVID came? You can't give me anything on that. Our curriculum hasn't changed. You know, our health statistics of children in America, you know, are just dismal. I've gone through this 100 times. And what has the board done? What can you show me that you've accomplished to take a child who was at high risk with cofactors to acquiring the Delta variants? What have you done to move a few of those people away from there? I could give your wellness committee a lot of ideas on that would cheap and save you money. But, you know, you won't do that. You won't have the public forum. This is it. People come, we talk. You know, it's hard as hell to stand here and talk and not get answers and not get discussion. But you come down and you sit in a different format and you tell me why you are going to put a mask on a little kid, then we're going to have a long discussion on that. And we're going to look at the sources that you point to, and we're going to look at the corruption of those people and the history of those people and those agencies and who those agencies are being run on and who's financing those. We're in tough times here. Come on, this is it. If you're a rebel, if you're an advocate, if you're looking around, what are you waiting for and to just drag it out another year?
So I need a motion to adjourn, but we will be going into executive session for personnel matter.
Second. Did somebody first?
I did. All those in favor?
Aye.